Kavango is a big tribe now. It's not just identified by a certain ethnic group. Kavango's people are the second majority. It's not by accident that we don't have people in the national parliament.
In a way, it's a movement.
Our people are tired of waiting. They need to benefit now. There is no such a thing like Vision 2030. Now it has moved to 2060. Imagine if a school can struggle to have water. What about local people who are just individuals? Kavango flag.
What purpose does it serve?
If we don't do this, in future Kavangos are going to be identified as Vagos. Definitely. How many of our people are already wearing delelas every day? Do we want to be identified as Avambos or do we want to be identified as Kavangos?
I want to be identified as... Just in case you're wondering what is this, due to the nature of my work, I have been in many different places, met many interesting people, and had conversations that have stayed with me. Some of these conversations have shaped me culturally, spiritually, and entrepreneurially. And this is my attempt to document or build an archive of those conversations, from stories to ideas, and even questions that help me understand the world a little bit better. According to the wisdom of our sages, kwatoku na mkweni likaliove chongomoka, which in a nutshell means build together, alone it will go sideways. That said, my name is Ndumba Jonas, and today I'm joined by Titus Manuel to discuss the newly launched Kavango People's Forum. Titus?
Yes.
Welcome back to Toronto. What is Kavango People's Forum?
Actually, Kavango People's Forum, I also just saw the idea being born. Then I contacted the person who was talking about it, who happens to be Mr. Kashera. And then he informed me a little bit about the forum. Actually, when it started, it was supposed to be a summit. Yeah, where I think the idea was to invite different speakers who have expertise in a different topic to come and interrogate Kavango East. What is happening? What is wrong? Like to come and have a conversation with the community and figure out what is happening in Kavango in terms of economic development, political matters, just to see how people can put their heads together. And then later on, after approaching him, he agreed, no, it's fine, you have been operating in the business space. We think we should avail for you a space also to come and talk about economics and business in a perspective of Kavango. And that's how I came through. Later on now, maybe with the leadership now themselves, when they used to sit in the executive, they've decided instead of just having it as a summit, why can't we have it as a forum so that it can stand up for the community in Kavango, in both Kavango East and West. And that's when they removed now Kavango East and West forum, and they made it Kavango forum, actually to represent the interest of the inhabitants in Kavango. Basically, this is more of historian background where we want to revive the culture of the Kavango and promote it at the national level, as well as advocating for the human rights and economic needs for the Kavango individuals.
So it's not a political party?
I think in my personal view and the knowledge that I gathered while I was at the event, it's an NGO. I think it's an NGO that wants to be established in Kavango so that it can advocate for its people. At the current moment, I did not hear anything or see anything that shows that it's a party. And even in the discussions that were taking place at Kavango Forum, all of them, there were many people from different parties just in one room.
So the chief was there, Chief Kavango.
Yes, Alphonse, yes.
And I saw a couple of speeches, but I didn't see yours. So what did you talk about?
Yeah, actually, I was invited to speak about how to mobilize external and internal resources, economic resources within the two Kavangos. Yeah, whereby I was addressing some matters because if we look briefly back, growing up in Kavango, we used to have institutions like Vungu Vungu, which we used to produce a lot of produce for Kavango, and it was becoming self-reliance when it comes to those um, what is one the dairy products.
Yeah, I remember when we were young.
Yes.
We used to eat that meal.
But then immediately after independence, now we only hear those things from other towns. Looking back, you feel like, is it this being done deliberately? Are we being deprived? Or why should we kill what was existing to go start it in another place? Why not support what is already there and in power? And if you look at the green schemes and all those things, they are happening in Kavango and Zambezi region. But we have any college or university intentionally established by the government to train people into agriculture with a qualification, a formal qualification. We do not have. We are only producing lower primary teachers. To go where? If the schools are already full, why can't we study the internal resources that are already available so that we produce people that can easily start working on their own without looking for other things? And the other things I've picked up is that our regions, when it comes to alignment with the developmental agenda, we are a little bit behind. This is happening because we lack structured organization. For example, an organization like Kavango People's Forum, when it's registered as an NGO, it can easily be a mouthpiece of the region. We shouldn't take it like it's a threat, but we should take it like it's the eyes on the ground that sees what is happening, and we can engage the regional leadership. If the regional leadership cannot answer some of these questions, then we can direct it directly from the other people. Because what we have find out sometimes, we blame the government, we blame the ministers, we blame the executive directors, but sometimes those people's hands are also tied. What if the problem is within our own region? How do we address it? Because then the minister is not only serving Kavango regions, but they are serving the whole nation. Someone should be able to identify these problems, engage with the regional leadership, and then we can address it at the national level as a united team.
So you are saying advocacy is what's lacking here?
Yes, the main important part is we could use the word advocacy, but we can also maybe bring it at a higher level where we can say structured organization which can at least address to align with the national policies, the national development, so that if, let's say, the politicians, where the politicians are failing, at least them, they can be able to excel in that arena.
Then who do you think is to be blamed for a lack of those structures?
In my personal view, I feel it's really not too late to say someone can start, because any solution starts when there's a problem. So the reason why these things are coming now is because there's a problem now. That people start to feel like they are neglected by the government, start to feel like they are not benefiting from the national budget, starting to feel like you are maybe a stepson or a stepdaughter in your own country. So when these things start to grow at the beginning, because people are, we are loyal, we are understanding, then the certain level comes and say, no, I think here it's enough. So you can't say we can blame ourselves, we can't say we can blame the government. Let's just say we have reached a peak where something needs to be done. And I think people are picking that vibe, and then they want to come up with these structures now to start developing some of these matters and attend to them as soon as possible.
So it's in a way, it's a movement.
Yeah, it's like an organization that represents people on the topics that they are focusing on, especially on economics, education, political matters, agriculture, and the other matters that are within the region.
So what elements do you think need to come together to empower this organization? regionally or nationally?
Yeah, I think just like what I also alluded in my speech, because I've realized we already have some existing support structures. For example, when it comes to youth and SMEs, there are programs that are running under Ministry of Trade, as well as development Ministry of Finance that funded Namibian Development Bank and Environmental Investment Fund, as well as Agribank, to support the entrepreneurs locally. Now the challenge is, how do we mobilize the local people to be compliant to this requirement so that we can start benefiting from the national programs that are already operating? Because we can't blame the government for us failing when we are not compliant. It's time now we need to study why are we not benefiting at the local level. Once we identify the real challenges, maybe that's when we can know whether these problems are coming from the national or are they internal inherited, so that we can start addressing them at such levels. I think maybe that's where we need to start. Then secondly, there are things that we can clearly see these are a problem, like representation at the national level. These are some of things that needs to be addressed. Kavango's people are the second majority population in the region. It's not by accident that we don't have people there in the national parliament. When Kavango people are voting for a certain organization, that certain organization overlook the same people that voted them and pick other people to be there. Now, at the end of the day, when you are not well represented at the national level where national decisions are made, no one will know what you are going through. No one will understand the pain you are feeling, and no one will expose the challenges that you are going through. A mere local councillor cannot influence a minister. This is realistic. But a member of parliament can influence a minister. And that's the platform that we need for our local people. We need to be represented where we were supposed to be. Let's say if we are the second largest and we are maybe representing 30%, I'm just speaking under assumption, it's not a confirmed statistics. Why can't we also take the same seat in the parliament? Why should we be the second but only have 1% or 2%?
Yeah, that doesn't add up.
Yeah, it doesn't add up, but we are voting. So we need to open now the eyes of our people and say, look, you are voting, but others are benefiting. You are not benefiting. So that maybe the organization that we used to vote for, they will start acknowledging us and start selecting us so that we can be represented. Otherwise, they will lose their loyalty. And these are things that we need to address. These are some of the things that were discussed so that people can understand that those people who are represented in this organization, they must start telling their leaders that this organization, if we are not taking our people are tired of waiting. They need to benefit from the independence now. There is no such a thing like in the future, Vision 2030, now it has moved to 2060. Others are already benefiting now. Why should you wait for 2060? Who's going to be there? Let us start addressing the matter now.
So first of all, get your house together.
Yes.
And then the outside world will respect you.
Yes.
But if you are in fragment...
That is the sentiment that I shared, because even when I concluded my presentation at the forum, I had to say we would really humbly request the leaders, don't use people and then later you would turn it into a party, because this organization has a noble goal to achieve. And if this noble goal can be followed in thoroughly and bring different umbrellas or different color parties in one house where we can talk about a real economic challenge that Kavangos are going through, and then when we speak one language, then we can send it to the national level, and then they will have to speak with us because we are all in agreement. And remember, democracy is all about the numbers. If you don't please the number, the reason why we are not being pleased even if we have the numbers is because inside ourselves we are not speaking one language. The moment we start speaking one language, whoever is going to be the leading organization, they are going to respect us. And they are going to address the challenges that we are requesting. I mean, people are not asking a lot. Basically, most of the people are benefiting more than what they were supposed to benefit. They are even going to a level of taking luxury like it's a normal thing, while other people are just fighting for a normal life.
Just water.
Just water. Just a road to be built. Just a school to be built. Just desk in the classroom to be bought. Recently, people were striking at Kapako. It's a whole school. Imagine if a school can struggle to have water. What about local people who are just individuals? How many are victims of these things. So that's why we are saying if we cannot speak one language, we might not achieve these things because it has been going for too long. If we say let's blame somebody, there's no one to be blamed. But at least now we have identified this is what's happening. How do we address it? It's through speaking one language. We stand together and we make our demand.
Speaking about the strikes, we had a recent strike here in the CBD. So what do you think?
We can say the failure for the town council also to proactively participate and develop economic hub within the town, or at least have a plan. Because at the end of the day, they are saying they don't have a budget. Where's your plan? Because you can't just say, I don't have a budget, that's why I'm not doing it. At least show me your plan, that this is what I want to do, and this is what I have, and this is how much it's going to cost me. And you can already do a rough, what we called map networking, to identify possible funders. Because this thing of depending only on one government to fund you, others are developing from international organization. Recently, our Minister for Urban also indicated that what is stopping the town council in partnering with the development bank and get supported with funding? Because if you are a local economic hub, it means you must create entrepreneurial activities. But then how many, because this town council have strategic management team that works on what they want to achieve in the next coming 5 years or so. So in that thing, if they could include economic activities where they can establish institutions or organizations where they can generate revenue. For example, we have Rundu Open Market and Tandaveka. This is for informal sector. Where is for semi-informal? Where is for formal organization? Because you are only going to generate more revenue from semi-formal and formal organization, because this one they can easily make fund. So if we can create such platforms and you go to DBN and say, no, I have these people. Let's say you are targeting maybe cash loans, you are targeting maybe consultants, you are targeting media organizations, and you build an innovation center where people can pay a relatively reasonable amount. Can DBN not fund and establish those organizations? And then you generate your revenue from there and pay back DBN? Where is our entrepreneurial activities within the town council? Because that's why now we are just congested in one place. We are all fighting for a small piece of meat. Because there's nothing left. It's not the vendors' fault. It's not the people's. The owners also want to use their place. The vendors, they need the space. But who's supposed to address it? It's not by separating them. No, it's by creating other places. Look at Kaisosi. That is a town in its own. Sauyema is a town. Now all those people have to flock in one driveway center. That is dangerous. Yeah, even accidents are starting to occur. Who are we going to blame for that? Because people now are congested in one place. Why can't we develop the other suburbs so that they can also, instead of coming to sell in town, they can sell themselves in Kaisosi? I know in Sauyema there's already an open market, but the fact that Rundu is made like it's the only center or the only hub, people will not buy in Sauyema, they'll still come and buy in town. How do we develop it? We need serious malls, the same one that people used to leave from Sauyema to come to town for. They need to be in Sauyema, they need to be in Kaisosi.
But then how does that solve the problem of a lady who's trying to sell her tomatoes?
Let's say there's already an open market in Sauyema. Yeah. But most of the people that are still coming to town, they're coming from Sauyema. Yeah. Why? Because there's no traffic. Because now most of the traffic, people are just coming to town to buy their things. So they might not have time again to go past back in Sauyema. But if those people are restricted to get everything they need in Sauyema, at least a street vendor does not need to come to town. Then if the street vendors are divided into their suburbs, the town also will not be overloaded. Even the numbers are going to reduce. Because normally these people are allowed. The problem why they are not being allowing now is because now they are overpopulated into one place. Normally a certain number can be accommodated. You can apply and get your slots. You can apply and get your slots. But now there are too many overpopulated in one place. And it's also a hazard now. Because now people are not having toilets there and all those other things. When you want to release to help yourself, where do you go?
How can people support the forum?
Yeah, the forum is open to everyone. I think mostly the people who can identify themselves as Kavango. To our surprise, even when we had the event, we had a white local Kavango veteran. It's about feeling proud that yes, I belong to Kavango. I've been in Kavango for a long time. Even the chiefs has to elaborate that we must understand that in the era where we are now, Kavango is a big tribe now. It's not just identified by a certain one ethnic group. So when we are advocating for these things, we should put into our mind the complexity of everyone. We should not leave out anyone, because Kavango, it means it's a residence for people who share the same common value and tradition. It's only that we should just identify ourselves with our cultural and norms and involve the chiefs of the region so that they can guide us when we talk about culture. What are we referring to as Kavangos? We must not dilute it to our level, but the chiefs should be able to guide us on how should we refer the cultural aspects of the Kavango people. Because sometimes we use our own assumptions, we use our own common sense, we use our own understanding, without knowing that sometimes when we use that, we also harm or affect the other people who are supposed to support us when we are building this certain, we alienate them out. But then when we speak about Kavango, we're speaking about inhabitants of Kavango East and West who identify themselves as they belong to Kavango, and they support the agenda and the economic agenda and development of the Kavango.
Me, myself, my neighbors, I'm surrounded by all tribes.
Yes.
They are Kavangos.
Yes. If a person has been staying with you for more than 20 years, the parents that gave birth to that person are now normal, and the person is staying there. How do you call him? Where do you want that person to go? His ancestors are also here. Whether he came from somewhere or not, but his ancestors are also here. And that's how we define culture. That's how we define relating to a certain place. Otherwise, then no one would own any place, because all of us, we came a settler. And because our people came there a long time, we settled. And that's how we identify ourselves as Kavangos. And any person who settled there for a longer period should be identified as a Kavango. And we need to define it from that perspective, than really attacking the tribal ethnicities get us nowhere. And I've also seen some people who are becoming scared. This type of organization should not scare us unless we are hiding something. So if it's a political party, it will manifest itself. You don't have to fight them. It will come to pass. But if they have a genuine interest to revive Kavango, then let's give them the benefit of doubt. Why are we fighting them? Let us allow them to excel. Let us support them where we can. Let us work with them. And I've seen the number is quite growing. The participants are growing. As we speak now, we also have another space which we call SME development. We don't have a mouth for that, you know. If we had NGOs that are representing these spaces in Kavango regions, at least they can speak at the national level and address most of these matters, because then we don't have to go through a long channel of a councillor who has to go to a certain organization because he belongs to that organization to address the matters. And recently we have seen there's no even independence of these councillors anymore, because they have to serve. It's not only one party, all of them. They have to serve the mandate of the party first before its people. And that is not what we want. We want an organization that serves its people directly without fear of losing your job. Maybe if I speak out, I might not be sent to the parliament again. Fear of speaking up on the challenges because you think when they are going to vote, I'm not going to be selected again. All those things needs to be rooted out so that those people are independent and neutral. They are not participating because of a certain color. I think, in short, that is what the organization should focus on, and we can really achieve a lot with that.
Keynote speaker, I saw it was supposed to be the professor.
Professor Disho, yes.
Yeah, but then I heard rumors that he bailed out. I heard something like threats.
Yeah, I think for Professor Disho, I won't speak on his behalf, because all these things we also had, we didn't see a letter in black and white. Maybe if it was sent, maybe it was sent to the leadership, to us who were the speakers. We didn't see a letter in black and white, whether it was written via an SMS or WhatsApp. We speculate. On my behalf now, I speculate. I think the case of Professor Disho came when the Kavango People's Forum introduced the Kavango song, Kavango Muhafe Sigwetu. Yeah, and then they introduced the Kavango flag, which has green and white. And then Professor Disho at some point has to object and say, I'm not part of that. I was just invited to come as a speaker, but I'm not part of the new development of introducing Kavango song, because apparently it speaks about the Bantustans during apartheid time, and then the green and white flags. From my perspective, when he distanced himself, that was already a sign that he might not attend. Whether there were threats that are coming or not, when you don't agree with certain things that are happening, as much as he could come and attend, it was now up to him. Because whether there were threats or not, I think those threats started coming after the introduction of those two items, the flag and the Kavango Pride song that came in the picture. I don't think those threats came prior to that. They should have come when those two items were introduced. So if there were threats that came, it's because of those two items, which he already himself distanced himself from the event because of those two items. And the song is actually, it's fine because it identifies with the Kavango. Otherwise, until today, people are still singing about the apartheid songs in other tribes, in different language. Why didn't you abandon them? Why this one is a problem? I see most of the parties, not most of the parties, most of the songs in the SWAPO liberation struggle. Which language are they using? So, but everyone is singing. We didn't judge them that it's becoming a tribal party or anything. Everyone is singing because that is what identified us during the oppression time, and it's what was available for us to achieve our independence. We didn't care about whether it's being sung in Oshuambo, am I becoming a less Kavango now, or what. People were singing, were joyous, and at some point, as children growing up, we only knew Oshuambo songs. But then, how do we revive Kavangos also now to start having their own pride?
But the flag, it was used when Kavango was a government.
Yeah, when it came about, I was a bit skeptical, and I didn't want to support it. That is the honest truth. But then when the colors, maybe the use of the flag was used in the wrong place. But when it comes to the colors, just to identify the Kavangos, because as much as we can fight it now, no one is going to go back there and say we want Kavango to be on its own. I think we should look at what is the intention behind it now, and what goals are there that they want to achieve with those colors. The focus now is to say, why can't we identify ourselves with a certain color? There's no other better way than using a color that already existing in a different modern way.
The context in which flags are used, you do understand?
Yes.
When you show me a flag, ask what part is that flag or what country is that flag, right?
Yes.
So for this flag here, what purpose does it serve? If you said your stated goals is to advocate for development.
Yes. I think that is one of the things that was debated, because they came to a point of using the coat of arms to identify the organization instead of the flag. But however, the colors were adapted. The colors were adapted to be used in the costumes to identify the Kavangos. Whereby whenever we want to come up now with the costumes, so that whenever you are going to see a person dressed in that costumes, maybe that has the green and white color, it should tell you that this person is from Kavango. And that's the intention. So basically when it comes to regional
Is that what
identification...
they stated, or this is what you are stating?
This is some of the findings
or...
that I picked up from the presentation that was said on when it comes to identification of the Kavango people. I'm also one of the person who say starting a regional party does not serve the purpose. But starting an organization that can interrogate or come up with a forum where we can sit as networking, to sit with our stakeholders, sit with the town council, sit with the organizations that are involved in the development of the region that we support. I would definitely support 100%. Coming up with a color, at this point I would not mind. If it's green and white, so be it. If it's red and blue, so be it. Because any color you will pick now, it will still represent a certain party. If we become too critics in those matters, I don't think we will live in peace. So at this moment, but we need an identification for the Kavango people, so that when we meet somewhere, we should know this is people from Kavango. Just like how Hereros are being identified without judging them that they are starting tribalist. Avambo's people are being identified without judging them that they are starting tribalist. And Namadamaras, they are also having their own attires without them saying they are being tribalist, and they are all Namibian. So when this one tribe started, why should we not allow them also to be identified? Because at the current moment, the traditional attires that we have, it's just good when you are performing. But then if you want to wait to an event or to a certain place where you are invited to represent or to be identified as a Kavango, you cannot wear that. You need to wear something with a modern fashion, so that they can, just like Odelela, for example, it has advanced now. It's even more fashion in what they wear. What identifies it is not the design of the costume, it's the colors. It's actually the colors and the material that they use, but the styles are completely different. Some are even wearing it in a very fashion way that they become a nightgowns. But when a person wears it, you can tell this is Oshuambo culture. That is what they wear as Oshuambo. And don't be surprised if we don't do this. In future, Kavangos are going to be identified as Wambos. Definitely. How many of our people are already wearing delelas every day? Do we want to be identified as Wambos, or do we want to be identified as Kavangos?
I want to be identified as Kavango, but not using controversial colors.
Yes.
It's not like we just have green, we have blue, there is red.
It's just like what I said. At the beginning, I was very skeptical when they started introducing, because when we were going for the event, it started as a summit. Then it became a forum where they want to have it permanently and then incorporate some aspect that they are going to, which we're going to address. And then later it became a song, and then later it became a flag. So if it's truly an NGO, like how it is presented, I think as Kavango people, as we all know, NGO stand for non-governmental organization, which is a community-based. It's up to us now to nurture it into a project that can be seen as a one that can unify and a one that can address most of these things. I'm very sure as much as the leadership came up with this, when they are going to have annual general meetings, the public also have their own public opinion on how they would want the organization to be managed, on how they want the organization to be run. I think it's too early now already to exaggerate. That's why even when I saw the flag, which I was skeptical about, even when I saw the songs, which I was skeptical about, I said, for the sake of a Kavango child, for the sake of the Kavango region, I'm not going to fear. I'm going to go there. Let me first address, and then I can express my opinion on how I want things to be done. And then that's up to the leadership, whether they can take it or they cannot take it. But us killing it from the beginning because of a little color or a little something that we don't agree. That is what has led Kavango to be where it is today. That's why we need to focus on the development of the region, so that once we achieve this agenda, even if you are rich, at least your wealth will have a meaningful impact. Not just to have it, but the region, entire region is poor. Imagine a person from outside saying, before I enter Kavango, I could smell poverty. And you come, they say, no, but I'm rich. Rich where? If the poverty is smelling in where you are coming from. So why can't we, because I think if this forum has to address something, they should focus on the basics, the education, the funding and support of the SME, the living condition of the people. When we talk about living condition, we're talking about water. There's a video recently that was shared on a Facebook status for Dino Dan Deal, something like that, where 30 people are queuing up on one tap to fetch water. If these people are supposed to be vendors who are supposed to sell, when do they get time to go and sell? When do they get time to come and fetch water? Because you spend the whole 2 hours just fetching water before you go and start selling, and you are late. You know, these are things that needs to be addressed. If I was from the other political party or a council that does development or economic activities, I should welcome them in my house. Let me hear their views and see what they want to address and engage with them on the table and listen to them. Then I think that is the best way to go about it. Immediately if they become a party, then you say, whoa, 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 whoa. And it ends there. I think giving them the benefit of doubt will do more benefit to Kavango people than killing it before it manifests. You can find me on Facebook. It's Titus Nando Manuel. Or you can follow us on our business page. That is being Nando's Business Consultants. And on YouTube also, we are there as Entrepreneur's Voice. You can follow us. There's certain videos there that you would want to watch. And LinkedIn, I'm there as Titus Nando Manuel. As well as on TikTok, we are also there as Entrepreneur's Voice.